Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Did you guys know that Shamrock's interviews are the second leading cause of teenage suicide?
Joe Giammatteo.
Goodbye, Rattlesnake.
God, we need the Hulk walking away music in the soundboard for that one. I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one pay-per-view at a time. That's right, folks. This is a special pay-per-viewed episode, so pay-per-view stipulations are in effect. We're going to talk about our star ratings. Joe's going to let us know what Dave Meltzer thought of these, as in the Wrestling Observer, and in the end, we're going to talk about whether or not we got our money's worth. So, in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about Judgment Day. Judgment Day aired on October 18th, 1998, and was recorded at the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, and features Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right then, let's get into it. Before we fully get into this, let's not forget that we had Sunday Night Heat leading us into this pay-per-view, supposedly. And on Heat, we missed a couple of what could have been good matches. Steve Blackman defeated Bradshaw.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Meh.
Here's one I know you would have loved. The Oddities defeated Los Boricuas.
Oh, man.
No.
I can't believe we missed that one.
Something I genuinely wish I could have seen was The Godfather defeating Farouk.
Oh, Godfather's back.
Yeah.
I still think about, look what they've done to my boy, Farouk.
Yeah.
They massacred him.
Yeah. I mean, he was the loser in that. Definitely true.
Of course he was.
And finally, a match that'll play into our evening a little bit here. Scorpio defeated Jeff Jarrett, apparently with the help of Al Snow.
Okay.
After we got past that, of course, we've got the proper pay-per-view intro full of tons of repetition, all of it being Vince McMahon screaming things like,
My rectal area. You violated me. You violated me. My rectal area.
Do you think maybe in the future you could edit that to be like one clip that says, you violated my rectal area?
Ooh,
I know it's not a direct quote, but...
You violated my rectal area.
There you go.
That was close enough.
Once we got past that, though, we had a high-class type of intro with the classy Freddie Blassie voiceover, and I really liked it.
After the rectal video.
Right.
Classy. Let's bring out the class now.
Classed it up after that. And I really liked the fact that this intro made Judgment Day synonymous with nuclear Armageddon. And we had a nice computer graphic of a WWF brand intercontinental ballistic missile launching from underneath what was presumably Titan Tower to nuke the competition aimed at Atlanta. But, this being a pay-per-view, we were not fucking around and we went straight into our first match of the night. Al Snow defeats Mark Marrow with Jacqueline by pinfall in 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Before the bell rang, Jeff Jarrett came out, and I guess here is where they mentioned there was some kind of interaction between Al Snow and Jeff Jarrett on Heat earlier, so we seem to be getting a feud there, which I will take, because the alternative here is Sergeant Slaughter going up against Al Snow. I guess Al interfered in that match against Scorpio, and that's why Jarrett was a little red-assed here. The match started, and it was there. I always forget about Al Snow being able to nail the moonsault, so that was neat to see, just as a reminder that he can do stuff like that. We got to the point where Marrow and Snow were trading catching kick attempts. That segment ended with Snow hitting an enziguri, but man, it was just slow and clunky looking. The near fall cradle from Marrow not long after that was terrible. Snow's right shoulder was at least a foot off of the mat, but it got counted by the ref anyway. I think that was Jimmy Corderas. And the match ended with Al Snow hitting the snowplow, which I still think is a great name and a great move. Can't use it on everybody, but it's nice to see Mark Marrow almost get his career ended. All in all, guys, I thought this was a 1-star start to the evening. There wasn't anything offensive enough for it to go down to a dud, but there also wasn't anything exciting or rewarding enough to bump it up to 2 stars either. So, Ryan, what'd you have on this?
I'm probably right along the lines of you here. It wasn't terrible, but it was nothing special either.
Yeah.
Wrestling-wise, story-wise, whatever. Like you said, I also had written down at least Al Snow is looking to have a feud against someone that's not Sergeant Slaughter, so that's a plus. Jacqueline coming down to the ring, she's really showing off the new women's belt that she finally got last week, so that was nice. And I noticed the weave of Sable's hair that she has somehow grown from last week. There seems to be like 3 times as much, so I don't know how that happened.
That's the great thing about weaves is you can just keep adding them on.
And I thought the snowplow reversal from the Marvelocity was interesting. That was okay, but other than that, nothing special here, as I said, and I was right with you on a 1 star. It wasn't a dud, but you can't go much higher than 1 with this.
I like that Mark Marrow's intro, we got to see the Titantron video, and it just mostly features Jackie and her assets, if you will. There's like none of Mark Marrow on that intro, which is hilarious.
Surprised they still don't have Sable.
Yeah. As if I didn't already know that I would probably dislike this match. I got really scared here that it was going to turn into a possible triple threat, but it ended up not being a triple threat with Jeff Jarrett, which that's a good thing. I think that I was right around that 1-star territory as well. But surprisingly, I bumped this up to 2 because I thought the crowd was into it. As Jerry Lawler would say, these moronic fans were holding up their styrofoam heads, and they were really into it. This head thing is really over right now, even though I'm not a big fan of it. It's really over with the crowds, so this was a good way to start the event. So I landed on 2 stars here.
And the crowd's vocal about it.
Yeah.
They love Al Snow right now, so yeah, it's working.
What'd Meltzer have to say about it?
He gave it 1.5 star. He said both worked hard, but there was something missing in the work, as a lot of Al Snow's offense, like the punching and the clotheslines, don't look good, and the heat was not there for the match.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I was ready to chalk it up to just Marrow being Marrow, but there was a certain something missing from it.
Sable.
Yes, that's exactly right. A certain je ne sais quoi that consists of 24,000 cc's of liquid silicone. Jackie's only got 20,000. All right, so we'll keep it moving. We got some footage from Heat earlier. This was Stone Cold Steve Austin being redirected to the referee's locker room, which happened to be a broom closet. And I agree with JR. Having to lace your boots up in a broom closet next to Earl Hebner is one of the most humiliating things a person could possibly have to do. And speaking of things that degrade our sense of humanity, let's go into our next match. LOD 2000 defeats DOA by pinfall in 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So it wasn't billed this way in my research, but this was actually a 6-man. Draws was in with LOD 2000, and Paul Ellering was wrestling with DOA. There was some kind of bullshit at the end suggesting that Hawk will relapse into his painkiller addiction, and that's all I've got on this one. It was a dud. Joe, please, what did you think of it?
Well, if you're going to have this match, there's no better spot on the card than the number 2 spot.
True.
Although I think this belongs on Heat, or maybe not at all. I'm really not a fan of Hawk and Animal with normal haircuts, by the way.
No, not at all.
Especially Hawk.
Hawk looks like the Warrior did when the Warrior was younger with shorter hair.
Yeah.
Like when he was the Dingo Warrior or whatever the hell he was called. Like that's what he reminds me of. But yeah, this is a dud. This belongs on Heat or Superstars. And now we're starting this feud between Hawk and Draws, and I'm just not really looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's not much to add here. How many times have we seen DOA and LOD face off in the last 18 months? It feels like just about every other week. And it never was good, and it never got any better. I couldn't give this anything but a dud. It's, of course, a dud.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is that I was kind of, like, my interest was piqued a little bit with the prospect of Paul Ellering trying to wrestle.
And Draws. Draws was actually probably the highlight of the match.
Yeah.
When he was in there, he at least looks youthful.
Better than everybody else around him.
Yeah, right.
What'd Meltzer think of this?
He gave it a 0.5 star. and he said it was the exact match you would expect. But it had more crowd heat than it would have anywhere else since the LOD has the long history in Chicago.
Ah, yeah. That explains it then. I didn't even put that together. They mentioned it like 90 times on commentary, but I was so zoned out as soon as I heard the fucking music start up for this match that I didn't even connect it. But yeah, they are very well regarded in Chicago, the LOD is.
They are. But I would have to say, collectively, we think
My rectal area.
about this match.
Yeah, my poor rectal area after seeing it.
Raw.
Felt like it was ruptured. All right, let's keep it going. Get the fuck away from that into our next match. Christian with Gangrel defeats Taka Michinoku with Yamaguchi-san by pinfall in 8 minutes and 34 seconds to win the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship.
What?
I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked to learn that there is an actual Light Heavyweight Championship here in the WWF. Did you know that?
I thought for sure it was gone at this point.
I thought that they had farmed it out or lent it to AAA or something like that. I don't know, but
yeah, or threw it in the trash on WCW.
Chopped it up into little pieces with that salami.
Yeah.
Duct taped it back together for the hardcore title. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this was Christian's in-ring debut for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He might have wrestled on Heat or Shotgun, but yeah, for us.
The way that they were talking was that this was not his debut in general, just that we hadn't seen him. So I assumed Superstars or Heat or something.
That's what
like
it sounded like.
So I hate to say it, but this was underwhelming. Because not only does nobody give a shit about Taka or the Light Heavyweight Championship, nor do they apparently care about story continuity, because of all the people that can be considered light heavyweights, why on earth does Christian get a title shot on a pay-per-view after what can't be any more than max 2 matches? I'm not saying that I wanted Taka Michinoku versus
Brian Christopher
That's again. Yeah, or even X-Pac. I know X-Pac has a different match later on, but if there's anybody that deserves a shot at the Light Heavyweight Championship, it is X-Pac. He is in that class, Christian. And he will hold it later. But Christian, whoever the hell this guy is.
Christian, didn't you watch?
Yeah, well, he's Edge's brother. We know that. And he's some kind of sycophant to Gangrel. And that's about it. That's all we
Goth.
Know.
Goth lifestyle.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
I popped when Jerry Lawler brought up the fact that Christian and Gangrel were wearing puffy shirts like that one episode of Seinfeld. Because I think that exact same thing every time I see them come out. I don't want to be a pirate. The crowd actually popped for the pinfall. It was honestly hard to tell how engaged they were throughout this because from the hard camera view, a lot of people were sitting on their hands, but then a huge pop for the finish, but then there was a lot of crowd noise, but then we all know the WWF likes to pump in crowd noise, so really hard to gauge what was going on crowd-wise here. So with that said, I again ended up on 1 star. I just don't know enough and haven't seen enough of Christian to get any more erect for this match than that. So Ryan, what did you have on it?
I thought a little bit better, not much better, but the belt changed hands finally. Taka has probably fought for this at least 2 times over the last 10 months, right? I thought Christian's action in the ring was promising. I know we didn't get to see a lot of it, but it was promising. The thing that really brought it down was that he had to win this belt off Taka Michinoku, who, as we know he likes to do, ran through his typical repertoire of moves. We got his fucking springboard. We got everything we know Taka does. But I thought Christian's action in the ring brought it up a star from your rating up to a 2-star. And I'm damn happy that Taka doesn't have that belt anymore. Maybe he can move on to the tag team shit that Tai and Kai is going to be. I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I laughed when I heard Taka come out because he was getting booed, and I just completely forgot that he was a heel now. That's how much I care about Taka. And he was also back in his babyface gear, though, I noticed. He wasn't in the street clothes like he was earlier when he first turned heel.
Same music.
Same music.
He doesn't have to blend in with Dick to Go anymore.
He's out there with Yamaguchi-san, so, that I guess he's a heel because he's with a heel manager. But yeah, this was not that exciting to see Taka. I guess it was exciting to see Christian just because I am invested in this whole Gangrel thing that's going on and the formation of the Brood that we're going to see soon. So that has me a little bit interested, but Christian is basically working like everyone else who faces Taka, and he's just letting Taka get all of his shit in.
Yep.
And it's pissing me off, to be quite honest. Like, I don't understand why whoever's working with Taka can't just be like, hey, can you just not do that fucking springboard move and like do something else in this match? Like, give these fans
one match.
Yes,
Don't
give these
fucking
fans something else for once.
He doesn't know how to do anything else.
He doesn't. I didn't particularly hate the match like I did the one before this. So I gave it 1 star, and I thought that roll-up finish was not executed well, and Taka just sucks. And also, no involvement here or interference from Gangrel or Edge. I was expecting some sort of run-in or interference or something, and there was nothing. So that was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
We did see Edge up in the rafters.
Skulking.
Yeah.
In the fire escape. Something that I saw right before I watched this episode, or the pay-per-view, was a post on Instagram of Taka Michinoku now. And he looks exactly the same. He's like 50-something now.
Well,
he looks exactly the same. He hasn't aged a bit. Because he does the same thing all the time. He's got a great routine. And just, what did Meltzer think of this?
Oh, he loved it. 5 stars. It's Taka.
yeah. The only thing better is if it was in Japan.
Yes. He gave it 3 stars.
Okay.
Whoa. I thought I was being extremely generous with 2.
A little bit of psychic work here from Dave Meltzer with his comments. He said, it appears the long-term plans are to make Christian and Edge into this brother babyface tag team like a Rock and Roll Express type team for the next decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely prescient of him.
Also says, the crowd was dead, but this was a good match, particularly the performance by Taka. So he enjoyed it.
He loves a routine, it appears.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, we got a comprehensive replay of the feud between Dustin Runnels and Val Venus up to the point of Goldust's return last week. And I know I wasn't on with you guys to talk about that last week, but let me just say, I thought that while it's great to have Goldust back, it was such a wasted opportunity and a boring return. It was like it was a rush job. I think they did Goldust a huge disservice with the way that they brought him back. And that's all I'll say about it for now. We can maybe talk about it some other time. But yeah, it was slapdash. And that took us into our next match. Goldust defeats Val Venus with Terry Runnels by pinfall in 12 minutes and 7 seconds. And despite what I just said, I really am happy that Goldust is back. Not just because he is uncuckable, but because, as we saw and experienced, the alternative, again, is horrible. So that's like the theme for some of these matches, like it could have been worse. Also, as a side note, I have no idea how Val Venus wasn't pitching a tent any of the times that Terry was groping him there in the middle of the ring.
Oof.
It would
She's
be
extremely
impossible
hot.
for me to do that.
Saltpeter. They have to have saltpeter back there for moments like this.
In that golden jockstrap.
Yeah.
In the match, Val's crossbody from the top turnbuckle onto Goldust at the floor. That looked really rough to me. Like it was almost dangerous. And I didn't really have too much else on that up through the point where we sat with Val holding Goldust in a rest hold. Goldust's superplex from the corner, that looked really good. And I did really like that Goldust's finishing move on Val was to punt Val in the dick. That just felt poetic and somewhat expected. Yes, very soft. We need the reverse of that to make the sound of him getting kicked in the balls. Oh boy. So that got the pin and the win. I ended up giving this match 2 stars. It was great to see Goldust in action again. And there were a small handful of things that I liked about the match. And 2 big handfuls that I liked. So I thought that was fair, but I also still think that they just really have bungled the return of Goldust, especially with this. Like, this could have been his in-ring, it is his in-ring return and not just a show up to fuck with somebody return. I don't know. I think, like I said, the whole thing was bungled, but it could have been much bigger and dramatic than what we got. Joe, what'd you have on this match?
Yeah, I agree with you. I landed in the middle here because I agree with you, but I also enjoy what's going on here. I like the story. I like the use of Terry here. Yeah. And guys, when some other guy ends up boning your wife, what better way to settle it than a good old sanctioned wrestling match?
Yeah.
Yes.
To settle it. So yeah, I think that I'm glad Goldust is back, but I don't think his comeback was really presented that well. I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I want a fucking... You have these stupid street fights. I want a street fight. I want blood. I want someone to get color. Like, that's what should happen when someone bangs your wife, not just a regular wrestling match. They probably could have done something else here, but I will say, though, I got a little chill when I saw this crowd's reaction to Goldust, and I want to put the Fink over. So hearing the Fink announce Goldust, I got a little chill there, so that was nice to hear.
Goldust.
Yeah. Also, if someone kicks me as hard as they can in the nuts unprotected, I'm probably not competing 6 days later. Just a guess.
Yeah.
But I thought the match was okay, not great. I like the story. I like the use of Terry. And I thought the finish was good in this match. I ended up with 3 stars here.
I thought this was enjoyable enough, but I agree with both of you that the actual re-debut of Goldust could have been enhanced with some better storytelling. We said that from the first week when he teased that Goldust was coming back, and then that was it. I feel like there could have been situations where we maybe trapped Goldust, or not Goldust, Val Venus in certain situations where the Bizarre One would come in and, I don't know, molest him, or stuff like he did to Razor Ramon. You know what I mean? Try and freak Val Venus out, and we didn't get that. But it was good to see him back. Somehow, it's definitely just a mental thing, but somehow even his wrestling looks better when he's as Goldust and not one of these other bum in black jeans and white shirt or whatever characters he was playing before. But the match, nothing too fantastic, but it was great to have him back. I am enjoying enough how the story's going. I just feel like they fumbled his return a little bit. So I ended up going with Bartlett with a 2-star here. It was still fun, just felt like it could have been a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you guys said it too. I didn't think I would be the only one, really, but Goldust is the bizarre one. They talk about him like he's some fucked up Sith Jedi mind trick lord where he plays the mind games and he fucks with you. And then on the other hand, he has bitching matches like Joe, like you said, like the street fight. They missed such an opportunity to get everybody over, like sky high over, with his return. The only good thing they really did with it, I thought, was the movie theater usher guy. Like, if we would have had a couple weeks of him just showing up and handing out invitations, maybe the lights would go out and there would just be like gold dust sprinkling down and everybody's like, oh shit. And then we finally see him for the first time here in this match. Like, that would have been 10 times better than what we got, not this limp shit.
Could have done a lot more condensed version of sort of like what WCW did with Sting.
Yes.
Where they repackaged and had him kind of lurking around and then big return.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And if they would have had a backlot brawl or something, we could have had a moment where someone gets hit with...
Oh, Bedpan McMahon.
Bedpan McMahon. Seriously, though, like, and not just Goldust, but Val, too. Imagine Val Venus holding his own, ultimately losing, but holding his own in a fucking street fight, getting color, like you said, Joe. Like, that would have just...
all around been a better thing for everyone.
Yeah. Everybody would have come out of that looking better than what they did here.
Or a backlot brawl maybe doesn't fit these two characters. Let's have like a porn store brawl or something where they can hit each other with dildos or whatever. You know, I mean, do something more than this.
More than this.
Just a good old-fashioned sanctioned wrestling match.
Everybody winds up covered in lube. What'd Meltzer think of this?
He gave it 1.5 stars. He says, even with the great wife-stealing storyline, the crowd just did not care about seeing these guys fight.
I don't know. The crowd noise really seemed a lot different. Yeah, maybe it was pumped in.
Yeah.
Okay, much like Val Venus's cock. He had to pump it up. Backstage with Michael Cole. Michael Cole! He was giving us the breakdown of an incident that happened between Triple H and Ken Shamrock. I guess Kenny fucked up Triple H's knee pretty good. But then, while Michael Cole was telling us about that, he got interrupted by X-Pac, who cut a quick, really good promo to take us into our next match. X-Pac defeats D'Lo Brown by pinfall in 14 minutes and 37 seconds to win the WWF European Championship. So I had a moment of misunderstanding here. I heard JR mention that the Nation was officially done and over with. He highlighted that with the fact that we're going to have Mark Henry versus The Rock later on this evening. And I was like, wait a second, did we know that? But then we saw what happened last week with the attack on Rocky, but JR confirmed it here later in this match.
Now, right?
That they are officially done. And man, I know they fizzled out because of Rocky's stardom and everything, but the Nation, in its time, the Nation was pretty fucking amazing. I loved early Nation with Farouk. I'm pretty sure we all did. And
Clarence Mason.
And it just fizzled here.
It had its particular time and place, but yeah. Once The Rock kind of overshadowed the Nation, it just dissolved.
Yeah. So in the match, I love how D'Lo's tights say European Champion on them. I'll never get tired of that. I also loved when JR asked if the chest protector was glued to D'Lo because he's been wearing it since June.
Since June.
Because he's too
He's
fat.
representing Milan, Italy tonight as well.
Yes, from Milan. That was right before the reversal of the Bronco Buster with a boot planted squarely in X-Pac's balls. The camera angle was perfect. I loved that. That was a great reversal. I really liked D'Lo using the Texas Cloverleaf as a submission hold. I will always pop for people pulling out unusual submission holds that you don't see very often. And I thought it was funny when X-Pac almost launched himself out of the ring doing a clothesline out of some rope work. He overshot that pretty bad. And I liked how the interference from China, and then the ref bump stalled the finish, and then the real finish came after that. I liked that too. X-Pac reversing D'Lo into a facebuster. Looked great. The crowd loved it. They popped hard, almost as hard as I did. So yeah, this got 3 stars out of me. I don't think I'll ever get tired of watching this matchup. Ryan, what'd you think of it?
I'm pretty close to you there. I loved Chyna's look when she came down. She looked like she was straight out of the Matrix with these glasses that she had on tonight. It was fucking fantastic. And finally, we've been asking for it. We got that pay-per-view length match between these two.
Yeah.
And I don't think it disappointed. Right out of the gate, it was pretty damn entertaining. And I popped on the line about JR bitching about Brown's chest protector wearing since June. That was great. This is a good example of 2 contrasting styles that just really blend well together. D'Lo and his 300-pound frame doing the power moves. You have X-Pac using his speed and resiliency. And I thought it sounded, at least, and looked like, which is a better indicator, that the crowd was really loving it. They got into the Bronco Buster when he did finally hit it for the second time. And yeah, I thought we finally got this long, good match that we've been really asking for between the two. And I gave it a very solid 3-star match. And it's a shame D'Lo had to lose the European title again. Seems like we're bouncing back and forth, but maybe X-Pac can be that fine ambassador that Lord Thomas wants, but I don't know. He's never made it over to Grimsby, so he might not get that title. But yeah, solid match. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved this match. I feel like with X-Pac and D'Lo, I start with 3 stars and I go from there. Throughout their matches. I want to say too that during the entrances, we see so much pyro during entrances that we take it for granted sometimes, but I really love the X-shaped pyro with the crotch chop with Chyna just standing tall behind X-Pac. It's just such a great look during their entrance. And I'm a big fan of that. And kind of just the way Chyna looks too. Like you said, Ryan, like she's straight out of the Matrix. Like it just looks so badass.
And really, with her like 1-word name, she fits right into the Matrix too.
Trinity and Chyna. Yeah.
Neo, Trinity, Chyna.
But there were some elements of this match that I would normally not like. like a sleeper hold on the mat with that 1980s 3-count arm raise bullshit and hulking up. There were some more rest holds than I would have liked and hulk ups, but there were so many good near falls in this match. There was a great counter to the Bronco Buster, another Shattered Dreams, if you will, on that one. And D'Lo's selling skills are just so good, just such great facial expressions, and again, good near falls in the match. Excellent face buster on that splash for the finish.
Yeah.
Minimal interference by Chyna and Mark Henry, too. So I loved the match. I'm giving it 4 stars.
Nice.
Yeah. What'd Meltzer think of it?
He gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
He said it was a good match
Recognized.
from basically every standpoint and had the most heat on the show as well. X-Pac may be the best worker in the WWF right now, and D'Lo Brown may be the most improved.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
2 strong statements there.
Yeah. And Brian, I keep coming back to something that you said in your notes there about how these are contrasting styles. And I agree. Just the way that those contrasting styles so perfectly match each other. Like,
Yeah.
who else can D'Lo Brown come across as a power move user with? Because he's dwarfed by literally everybody else. But he looks
by
huge.
monsters.
Yeah, pretty much everybody else, height-wise, weight-wise. But
Yeah,
against X-Pac,
yeah.
he looks like a monster. And
Yep.
X-Pac, we've said that before, he's always at his best coming up from the bottom. So, all right, what comes next? Michael Cole comes next. He was backstage to address a rumor that he said WWF.com started, which I thought was hilarious. How fucking stupid is
Fucking
that?
internet.
Why would the World Wildlife Foundation website start that?
The rumor was that Paul Bearer was seen going into the Undertaker's locker room. The only thing that's more shocking than is that it wasn't Dave Hebner sneaking into people's locker rooms on the sly.
Now, he's got the peephole.
That's right. He's much more cunning than that. The Headbangers then came out to insult the New Age Outlaws, which I actually didn't think this promo was that bad. It was very in character for the Headbangers, which is to say it was juvenile and slightly degenerate.
You guys are gay, basically, is what it boiled down to.
Yeah, but I mean, for its time,
Right.
that's a very Headbangers.
It was delivered well.
Which was surprising because we've been giving them so much shit lately that they have deserved and earned. And that took us into our next match. The Headbangers defeat the New Age Outlaws by disqualification in 14 minutes and 1 second, with the New Age Outlaws retaining the WWF Tag Team Championship as a result. I loved the Headbangers interrupting Road Dogg's intro. I thought that was good. That's good heel work there. And while I was watching this, I didn't quite know how to react because, I was kind of, taken aback because I thought the Headbangers were actually doing a really good job. I don't know if it's just I had such a low standard to work from the past few weeks, but that ended up taking me down like a deja vu rabbit hole. I could have sworn I said at some point in the distant past that the Headbangers are actually a really solid tag team and work a tag style well. That I said that back before the oddities.
I think we all said that.
Back when there
at
were
one point.
when there were only 3 tag teams instead of 6 that we have now.
When they first came in as the Headbangers, we didn't hate them.
No.
I don't know. They were one of those teams that just kept on falling down the ladder until they ended up off our screens and on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, because that became the joke, is that they were, what the fuck is this, superstars? Even they made a joke about it. We don't know what to do if it isn't Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up mostly just sitting back and surprised to be enjoying this until we got to the point where we were sitting in a rest hold. That was Thrasher. He had Billy Gunn in a headlock. And that kind of made me realize that we've seen quite a bit of rest holds in the show tonight, and they all just stood out as glaring. We don't really have that many usually on pay-per-views. But then we got to the finish, which I did not care for. I don't mind the Headbangers winning by disqualification, but this whole thing with the Road Dogg blasting one of them with the non-JVC boombox.
Definitely not.
The off-brand boombox.
I love JR just continuing to glaze over the sponsors.
But, isn't this same scenario what caused Billy Gunn to have his hissy fit? And now we're pretending like it never happened?
He doesn't care anymore.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it was the road.
Happened.
It was the Road Dogg with one of Jeff Jarrett's guitars. He hit.
No,
and then
happened.
also another radio that was not
a kaboom box.
Right.
No way.
not a kaboom box. So yeah, that was I think that was when he actually walked out, was when he was hit, when Road Dogg hit them with a boom box like 3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, he was pissed off because they didn't get a clean win or whatever the fuck the rationale for that was. But here we are doing it again.
Never happened.
Right. Well, I'm happy that we're pretending that it never happened because I hated all of that. But like, we're doing the exact same fucking thing here. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I ended up landing on 2 stars with this. That finish, it had me a little concerned. They calmed my concern towards the end of it. But otherwise, I was pleasantly surprised with the action in the ring. Joe, what'd you have on it?
Well, I went into this thinking that this needs to be a complete squash job, or if not, I will hate it. So it was not. So I gave it a dud because I think the Headbangers suck. But have you guys ever heard the story about how the Headbangers gimmick was born? Because
No.
I just heard
Or maybe
Jim Cornette.
I have, but I don't remember.
I thought it had
sure.
something to do with Cornette.
Well, I just heard Jim Cornette explain this on his podcast about a week or 2 ago. These guys worked for Smoky Mountain when Jim Cornette was running
As the
Smoky
Spiders
Mountain.
or something.
And Rick Rubin, the music producer, was funding Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He was a wrestling fan and was helping out with the monetary side of things. Rick Rubin and someone else, I forget who, took Jim Cornette to a concert. And that concert was a Glenn Danzig concert, who Jim Cornette said was a huge wrestling fan, by the way.
Oh.
Opening for Glenn Danzig was Marilyn Manson, and Marilyn Manson was not very well known at the time. And Marilyn Manson was basically wearing what the Headbangers wear during that concert. Jim Cornette said that he was encouraging fans to spit on him, and just all this disgusting behavior was happening during this concert. And that's what inspired him to present this idea to the Headbangers. And that's how their gimmick started. So I thought that was a cool story.
It is.
But that story is great, but I gave this a dud.
Well, I'm going to end up a little bit more on Bartlett's side because I was pleasantly surprised with some of the action here. I will say I still wonder why or how Mosh and Thrasher deserved this shot at the titles at a pay-per-view. Like we said, they're literally being brought up from the JV squad right now, as we said, from Saturday, and they're on a pay-per-view going for the title. So that doesn't make any sense. But I thought they made the best of their situation here, and this is probably the longest match the Headbangers have ever been in that we've seen.
Yeah.
Almost 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think I could say that with confidence. This is the longest match they've ever been in. But I wasn't crazy about the ending. I do think this match could have been a lot better with a better ending. This stupid DQ thing with hitting him with the radio, just dumb. But I did end up on a 2-star because I thought, for the most part, it was entertaining wrestling.
They were on the JV squad. Now they're on the JVC squad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No, they don't break. They don't break.
They do
That's
not.
right.
No, they're like fucking bricks, and they will cave your skull in. What did Meltzer have to say about this match?
He gave it 1.25 stars. He said, overall, it was a below average match without much heat and with a weak finish, as Road Dogg hit Mosh over the head with a boom box, not a kaboom box.
Right.
For the disqualification as a way to keep the program alive.
I would tend to agree with that. So far tonight, Dave's been pretty much splitting us down the middle.
Yeah.
Much like Val with Terry Runnels.
Well, except for his love of the Taka performance for whatever reason.
That was an outlier.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese wrestler, so
right.
He's going to give it at least 3 stars.
Okay. So, again, Michael Cole, he was backstage again to address those rumors that his coworkers started, and not the one about Dave Hebner peeping in the locker room. The one that saw Paul Bearer entering the Undertaker's locker room.
But this one he saw with his own 2 eyes.
Well, so he wasn't able to confirm the Undertaker, but Michael Cole was was able to confirm that Paul Bearer entered Kane's locker room. So, intrigue. We have intrigue here, brought to us by Michael Cole, that pencil-necked geek.
Sounds like somebody got violated in that locker room.
And Dave Hebner...
You violated me! My rectal area!
And Dave loved every minute of it. Mankind and Socko ended up interrupting Michael Cole to cut a promo, which, of course, was entertaining here to take us into our next match. Ken Shamrock defeats Mankind by submission? Kinda? We'll talk about it. In 14 minutes and 36 seconds to retain the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Again, I didn't get to talk about it with you guys last week, but I love Ken Shamrock having the Intercontinental Championship right now. He's the perfect person to have it, in my humble opinion. But getting back to this match, I mostly just sat back enjoying it. It definitely wasn't a match of the year candidate by any means, but I really liked this matchup. And more importantly, I like the fact that Shamrock, again, is our Intercontinental Champion, and I like that added importance for the outcome of the match. Just Ken Shamrock versus Mankind, like that would have been a good match. But the fact that they were wrestling for the Intercontinental title, just in my mind, it took it up a little notch, made it more entertaining. And also, I really like Kenny as a solo act. And not just Kenny, but Mankind too. I feel like we had way too many weeks of both of these guys tied up in those multiple, like, number one contender matches and the six-man and all that shit. Both of these guys, I felt, got lost in the crowd during those matches, as much as one can whenever you're fucking Mankind wearing a cut-off business shirt and a tie. I winced with Kenny's reversal into a power slam of Mankind with the back of that left knee hitting the ring stairs. That was fucking rough looking. And they followed up really nicely on that, though, with the ankle lock going to the left leg. But Mankind fought through it to reach the ropes. And then Mankind started hurting himself, punching himself in the face whenever he couldn't reach the ropes to keep himself from tapping out. But then that brought us to the finish. The finish really, really threw me off. Mankind submitted himself with the mandible claw. And I don't have a problem with that. That's just, that falls in line with him punching himself in the face to keep from tapping out. So he stuck his own fingers down his throat to make himself pass out to keep himself from giving up. That's very on brand for Mankind. I loved it. But then the ring announcer clearly states over the PA that Ken Shamrock won due to the mandible claw. As if the specific move which Kenny won the match with matters at all. And then that set Shamrock off because he technically won with the ankle lock. That's the move that he was applying, and he got all pissy because they didn't say ankle lock, they said mandible claw. That caused a snap out. Kenny got on top of referee Mike Chioda, body slammed him, and I didn't know what to think of it other than, are we just trying to give Shamrock a reason to snap now? Because that's one of the weakest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. And it was just a weird fucking way to finish it. I did not like it. And that finish took me down to a 2-star rating. I really like seeing these guys in singles. The match up until that point was good. They're both entertaining. But that finish, that's why we can't have nice things. I was solidly at 3 stars, but it ripped that 3rd star out of my hands. Ryan, what'd you think of this?
Well, we are going to be on different sides here. First, I'm going to start off with Mankind coming down the ramp. It's clear 2 weeks after Socko's debut, he's a fucking hit with the fans. We got people with sock puppets on their hands, Socko for fucking president sign. It's already a thing. So that's definitely catching on quick. And I thought, again, like earlier, contrasting styles. You have Shamrock, who he's the speed and technique guy, against Mick, who's a hardcore, I could just take whatever you throw at me guy. And it mixes very well. I really loved how this match turned out. And Joe, we got plenty of ha-cha out of Mankind, so I know you had to enjoy that. But this is something that's very unique for Mankind, or Mick, I guess is a better way to put it. He's a 300-pounder who, let's be honest, isn't in the greatest shape, but he can go 15 minutes in a match where there isn't that many breaks in it. He keeps up a pace with someone who is in like fucking take every steroid you could see your eyes on guy like Ken, and he could hang with them for 15 minutes in the ring. And the setup for this ending, right? So first, like you pointed out, Bartlett, the slam of Mankind's leg into the fucking stairs would just look brutal. And then Mankind powers through one ankle lock. And then the second one, he puts the fucking mandible claw on himself. And like you said, a very fitting thing for Mankind to do. He's like, I refuse to tap out to Ken's submission move. I'm going to make myself pass out. But unlike you, I fucking loved that not just the ring announcer, but the ref was like, no, not from the ankle lock, from the mandible claw. Like it was cheap, but it was such a troll move. Like it was just perfectly written to, we're going to make sure Ken knows that his move didn't make Mankind tap out. The mandible claw did. So unlike you, it didn't ruin it for me. It amplified it. And I ended up going with fucking 5 stars.
Oh, God.
5 fucking stars. It's not a match of the year candidate, but I was laughing my ass off that they were making it such a point to point it out to Shamrock that it was the mandible claw that finished this match. I fucking love it.
You know what it made me think of was there's a clip that I see a lot with Lillian Garcia announcing Triple H as like former world champion or something. And he like freaks out and runs after her. That's what it reminded me of.
I remember last week I told you that I remembered how it ended and that I loved it. I wasn't sure if you would, but I loved it and I still love it.
No, I don't remember it, so this was totally fresh for me. And I mean, there were some issues with this for me, but also I love that Mankind always stays true to his character, unlike Goldust that we talked about earlier. I think that seeing him torturing himself and giving himself the mandible claw to finish the match, I thought was extremely clever and just true to his character. I loved seeing that. There were some things I didn't like about it. I didn't like that Mankind gets blasted in the dome with a chair right in front of a referee. Commentary had to explain that one away. Some bullshit reason why that wasn't a DQ. Just a couple other little things, but all in all, I thought it was average. I thought it was an average match, so I gave it 3 stars. I'm still not into this whole Socko thing. I never was, but again, it's just like the head thing. These fans back in 1998 were extremely into the gimmick, so I landed on 3 stars here.
What did you think about the finish, like the way that they announced it as being due to mandible claw?
Yeah, you guys talked about it. Like I said, it reminded me of that Lillian Garcia and Triple H thing where it's like just funny.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't at all, no, but it was trying to be funny because they wanted to make Ken Shamrock snap.
Even JR after, like they were walking up the ramp and he goes, well, that just proves that the mandible claw is more dangerous than the ankle lock.
What did Meltzer have to say about it?
Meltzer gave this 3.25 stars, and he didn't have really any explanation as to why he landed on that rating. He just basically recapped the match.
Okay. All right. Well, moving along. Michael Cole was backstage again to attempt to interview Vince McMahon, but he was intercepted by the Big Boss Man, who is now handling all of McMahon's security. I enjoyed seeing the Boss Man here. I enjoyed seeing his debut on last week's episode. I was very happy to see that. I'm a fan of the Big Boss Man. He does such a great job of being a heel. I know we've only seen him last week and then in a few scenes in this pay-per-view, but he's a natural heel. He does it so well.
He can't do anything else.
Yeah. And that took us into our next match. Mark Henry defeats The Rock by pinfall in 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Mark Henry started an in-ring promo with "China, I loved you before the implants," and I popped my ass off. Popped my ass off. He followed that up with a great little poem about her, for her, really laying the groundwork for sexual chocolate. I really loved that.
Repulsive.
Disgusting.
We have look at what they've done to my boy with Farouk, but with Mark Henry, I feel like it's my baby boy is finally grown up. He's damn near in the main event. He's going up against a phenomenal superstar in The Rock here. Like, Mark Henry has made it. He doesn't really have all that much rust on him. or not rust, but greenness, I should say. But getting into the match here, there was truly electricity for The Rock's entrance. It was great to see the number of Rock signs in the crowd, too. It is very clearly The Rock and Austin at the top of the card, at the top of fans' minds now. I mean, if you just look at this crowd at this pay-per-view, yeah, there's a smattering of different themes, and there's a couple Undertaker ones, Goldust, what have you, Val Venus, but the majority, Sacco, the majority of the signs are either The Rock or Austin. And Austin still outnumbers The Rock, to be sure, but...
And really, you could just listen to how the crowd reacts the moment their entrance music starts.
Yes, yeah. Instant pop, instant electricity. And we've talked in the past about how Mark Henry looks amazing selling power moves. Well, in this match, The Rock was believable as someone that could take Mark Henry off his feet and chop that big tree down. Not everybody can really work in a style that does that, because Mark Henry is just a big, solid motherfucker.
I've never seen anyone as naturally thick as Mark Henry.
Naturally thick.
And so many other wrestlers, like, they try a clothesline on him, and it looks a little bit like Mark is like falling down for them, because how could anybody possibly take this guy down? But not with
the
Rock.
Road Dogg.
Right. Perfect example, the Road Dogg. But not with Rocky. Rocky hits Mark Henry with a clothesline, and it fucking looks like he took him off his feet with a clothesline. It looked great. And as a matter of fact, and it should be no surprise here, The Rock was running circles around Mark Henry, making Henry look like a big slow baby by the end of this. But that's by design. I'm not saying that in a way to take anything away from Mark Henry. He did a great job in this match. And we got to the finish. The finish was fine. D'Lo Brown interfered to hold The Rock's feet during the pinfall. And then I loved Mark Henry and D'Lo celebrating in the entryway as they ran out. But what I loved more was The Rock playing it cool and not having like a hissy fit tantrum like he may have done a few months ago. He just swallowed it, did the eyebrow, and was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens next time. And that's just a fucking superstar thing to do. Like, that's superstar energy right there, the way he handled it. As a maybe baby face, maybe heel, we don't quite know. All we know is that the fans love him. And I have a feeling that, like, a hissy fit would have taken him down in our eyes a little bit. It was not appropriate, but what he did here was perfect. So in the end, I ended up going with 3 stars on this match. Everybody worked well, but this was a highlight of Rocky for me. Mark Henry was great, but Rocky really stood out here. Joe, what'd you have on it?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that it's very clearly The Rock and Austin now on top as far as the crowd reactions. That tells me like we are in the prime of the Attitude Era now.
Yeah. Because
you've got The Rock and Austin, you've got Undertaker and Mankind, you have DX, which is super over still, and we're going to have a guy named Kurt Angle here real soon. So it's just really prime Attitude Era right now, which is great to see. The other thing about The Rock is he's not going to put on a 5-star classic. He's not going to work like a Bret Hart or a Shawn Michaels, but I just get reminded of what a great athlete he was for such a big guy during his early days here. He just moves around the ring and outside the ring just so well. And he can go up against a guy like Mark Henry, or he could go up against a guy like X-Pac, and he's going to make it look pretty good all the time.
Simply put, he's a blue chipper.
Yeah, definitely a blue chipper athlete. D'Lo he interferes in this match, and it's right after the People's Elbow, which is just perfect timing too on this. And I didn't think that this was any 5-star classic by any means, but it was really well done from a storytelling aspect, I think, because The Rock was a huge favorite going into this, but the interference was just so well executed.
Yes.
So I gave it a solid 3 stars.
The fact that The Rock, from the beginning of this match, he is picking up this 400-pound plus Mark Henry and slamming him around with ease. So
as Bartlett, a blue chipper should.
As a blue chipper. Right. Bartlett, I think that lends to your point. Like you said, that he's in there and he is a believable adversary to Mark Henry because he's a big, tall, strong blue chipper. And he's in there working it. He's about to hit his prime, or is at his prime right now. If I'm going to knock this match for anything, and it's no real knock against Mark Henry, but I feel like The Rock has so quickly risen that this match is beneath him. The Mark Henry, like we were talking about earlier with the Nation, and the fact that he just became such a huge star so quickly that we had to just start to forget about the Nation. And this match is reminding us of that former Nation thing that we need to move past. I don't think the two stars match right here.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the better way of looking at it, though, is that it's not, because this is second to last on the card. This isn't below The Rock. It's above Mark Henry.
Yes. I think to me that was the only thing that brought it down, because I was hovering around a 3-star, but I ended up going to 2 just because I felt like, unfortunately, Mark Henry maybe doesn't deserve this match right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that, because I thought the exact same thing. I was excited to watch it, and I wasn't disappointed in watching it, but whenever I first saw the match card, I was like, Mark Henry? What the fuck is Mark Henry doing up against The Rock at the end of the card?
Leading into the main event.
Right. What'd Meltzer think of it?
He did hate it. He gave it half a star.
Ooh.
He said, I think even with all of The Rock's charisma, that when you add the total of The Rock's charisma and Mark Henry's lack of charisma, you ended up right around 0, which also pretty much describes the match.
Well,
that's being a bit hard on it. But.
Yeah. I mean, there are certainly things that you can reasonably pick on, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Hated it.
So after that, we got a girthy review of the complete history between The Undertaker and Kane, and then The Undertaker and Kane and Austin, which took us into our final match of the night. The Undertaker versus Kane ends in a no contest in 17 minutes and 41 seconds, with no one earning the WWF Championship, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was our special guest referee. I was really disappointed that Stone Cold wasn't wearing a zebra shirt. I don't know why, but I felt
at least
that
a
was
cut-off
important.
one or something.
Yeah, something. But I do enjoy watching Kane manhandle The Undertaker. Not many can do that, believably. But Kane is just it's like Mark Henry. He's just a big, strong motherfucker. And seeing him toss The Undertaker around, you can lose yourself in that. You can definitely suspend disbelief watching that.
I think, who was it? Brock recently has said that Kane was the strongest person he's ever been in the ring with.
Yeah, he was like the one person that he lost a arm wrestling contest to, or Kane beat everybody arm wrestling or something like that. Yeah. And of course, Austin gave us some shenanigans with the early pin counts. That was pretty fun to watch. That was what was expected of Austin here. But something that the King said stuck with me. He made a comment along the lines of the idiots of Chicago cheering for the referee. And he was right, to an extent. There were Austin chants going throughout this, and I felt the same way in that I'm not invested in Kane versus Undertaker at all. That's just like, it's just like a leftover from Cahoots that we're dealing with. Rather than watching the match, I was more into watching what Austin was going to do next. That's what people were interested in. That's what people tuned in to see. Not Kane versus The Undertaker, but how is Austin going to be a special guest referee, because people want to see Austin, like they want to see The Rock. And that's not meant to take anything at all away from The Undertaker or Kane. I enjoy both of them. I'm a fan of both of them. But much like Cahoots, I didn't give a shit about this. I didn't give a shit about the lead up to it. I didn't give a shit about McMahon's machinations that got us here and the Machiavellian plotting that he did to put us in this place. And
You violated me!
So in the end, I mean, I don't know. I was like the crowd. I was watching Austin. I wasn't necessarily watching Undertaker or Kane as much. I did, but I was more focused on Austin. Not long after I typed that, a boring chant got going in the crowd.
Yeah.
And I had to agree. When both Kane and The Undertaker finally turned on Austin, it wasn't exactly surprising, and neither was The Undertaker kicking Kane in the balls, and then Kane hitting Taker with a chokeslam. That was all predictable. It was all just there in the ring with no sense of surprise or electricity to it at all. Paul Bearer showing up with a chair was the first thing of any interest that I saw, strongly suggesting that Paul and Taker are back together again, because the interference ultimately was meant to help The Undertaker. It didn't, but he was there to help The Undertaker. In the end, both Taker and Kane were down from chair shots. Austin called the match as a win for himself, and then went looking for Vince McMahon, who, let's not forget, threatened to fire Austin if he didn't officiate the match correctly. So after a lengthy search, Austin ended up back in the ring, and McMahon came to, what was that? Was it like a skybox at this event?
That's what I called it, a skybox, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because it definitely had open roof access. This skybox was like perched above the entryway, and McMahon was there in his wheelchair along with the big boss man, and boss man was dressed in the full black fatigues and the ski mask with the sunglasses in it.
Doesn't really need the ski mask anymore.
Kind of ridiculous, but hey man, whatever. In the end, McMahon did end up giving us the "you're fired" quote, while people were literally throwing garbage into the skybox with Vince. And that's where it left. Where it was left. Austin ran around, grabbed some beers, dumped them all over himself, while JR was giving what amounts to a eulogy for this totally unbelievable scenario.
Goodbye, Rattlesnake.
It's been good, Steve. And that just kept going. All told, they milked this for quite a long time, close to 10 minutes. It honestly made
43 minutes.
It honestly made me wonder if maybe something had happened like earlier in the night and we were making up time. Because then finally 20 minutes later after that, we faded to black. Just what a weird ending to a weird match on a weird pay-per-view. I know this is a tweener, but so much of it felt like an episode of Raw, including that final match, especially that final match, which I did not like, that it felt like a Raw match. But in the end, because of the finish, because I don't give a shit, because of Austin getting fired, which we know is bullshit, I ended up giving this match 1 star. It just wasn't entertaining to me, but I couldn't bring myself to give it a dud. Ryan, what did you have on our main event here?
I think it's well known. I'm a Undertaker and Kane fan.
An asshole for them, I believe.
An asshole, at least for the Undertaker.
Right.
But this, from the very beginning, from the setup video wasn't about Kane or the Undertaker. It was briefly, but it was about Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon. That's what the setup is about. That's what this match is about. This has now been 2 pay-per-views in a row where the main event is worthless. Yeah. We end with no one getting the belt. All it is a lead-in to the next night's Raw. And everyone, you pointed out, they were chanting boring. They multiple times started chanting for Stone Cold. All of this entire thing is just Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. Nobody gives a fuck about Kane and The Undertaker, regardless of how the match is. And these monster on monster matches typically are boring. But at least when we had this match before, we were leading into with beautiful storytelling between Kane and The Undertaker. This is just completely afterthought bullshit because what really matters is Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. And that was proven by the way it ended. The last 10 minutes of the episode has nothing to do with the heavyweight title or Undertaker and Kane. It's about, did McMahon fire Stone Cold? Yes, he ultimately did. Again, 2 pay-per-views in a row setting up Raw, because we do get, after Stone Cold's fired, he says, I'm going to be hunting next week, maybe. I don't know if that triggers any memories in anyone out there on what Raw is going to be. But I'm looking forward to that. But this heavyweight title match was just absolutely fucking worthless. And I couldn't, like you, Bartlett, I couldn't bring myself to give it a dud just because it's The Undertaker and Kane. But 1 star. 1 star is what the wrestling gets.
This was picture perfect for those of us who love soap opera and dislike wrestling. Absolutely.
The wrestling match meant nothing.
Perfect. $30 worth already with just this for
Look
me.
into my veins.
Yeah, they did not violate me with this. I really enjoyed it. Look, 3 weeks leading up to this, they had the Zamboni, they had the bedpan, they had the cement truck. They were building up for this.
But what did any of that have to do with Kane and The Undertaker?
The title was meaningless. In fact,
Completely.
the title was nowhere to be seen
Yeah.
on this, which might be the first time ever, or at least in a very long time, that I remember a pay-per-view where the title's not even,
Yeah.
it's not even on the show.
Did they
But
bring
this
it
match
down to
is,
the ring?
but this match is for the title. No, you never saw the title. This match is for the title. So that's the one thing that I thought was just pretty messed up. But the match itself was terrible. It never had a chance. It was at a disadvantage from the beginning because the biggest superstar in the business is the referee for this match.
Right,
so this
right.
match never had a chance, really. And also, I don't know if they mic'd up the ring differently tonight, but I kept hearing excessive heavy breathing from Kane through his mask. And as a viewer at home, it was very distracting. Like it was just bad
I didn't really hear it.
production, I think. But yeah, the match sucked. The one thing, it was a pretty good finish, I think, with Paul Bearer turning his back on Kane.
Just seeing his beautiful face come down was a highlight, but
Paul Bearer turns his back on Kane, and Austin goes into business for himself. And we get the whole "screw you, you're fired" thing from Vince. We get what they built up to, pretty much.
yeah. I am excited that Paul Bearer is back with The Undertaker. That is exciting to me.
Allegedly. We'll have to see.
Well, it sure looks like it.
I didn't mind Steve Austin not wearing the zebra shirt because the only reason I say that is because this might be my favorite Steve Austin shirt. It's the red Austin 316 on the front, and then it has the bloody WrestleMania 13 face on the back and says "Blood from a Stone." I think that's a badass shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we built up to this. Like this was what they were building up to. It should be no surprise. I never gave a shit about this match for the past 4 weeks. I never gave a shit about it. So this is all just Austin and McMahon without them actually having a match against each other because they're gonna milk this as much as they can for Stone Cold Steve Austin to finally get a match with Vince McMahon. They're just going to milk that as much as they possibly can.
McMahon needs to get on some growth hormone a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he'll be ready for that match.
I love Wheelchair Vince too, by the way. I think it's fantastic.
Yes. I wish he would have stayed in that for like a year. That wheelchair.
Yeah. We also got my favorite Steve Austinism with the, I can't hear you. You've got 18,000 people calling you an asshole. I always love when he says that. So just this whole thing in general, I don't give a shit about the match. I loved all the stuff with Austin, with Paul Bearer, with Vince McMahon. I gave it 4 stars.
Wow. Wow. One thing that did stick out to me when Austin was rummaging backstage looking for McMahon, he opened up a dresser room and we see Owen dressed as the Blue Blazer, except without the mask on. And the King even said, "Oh, is that the Blue Blazer?" So I don't know. I thought we weren't supposed to know. I don't know what they're doing there. Was that kayfabe or were they breaking it?
I don't know. Drink up, Steve. You had a hell of a run.
Goodbye, Rattlesnake.
It's been good.
Goodbye. I can't believe it.
What'd Meltzer think of the way this ended?
He hated it, probably more than you guys. He gave it -0.5 a star.
Whoa.
He said it ended up being a slow-paced match where Undertaker mainly worked on Kane's leg with pretty much no heat.
Yeah. Oh, there was heat, just not for Kane or The Undertaker.
And they were chanting boring.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
When they weren't chanting Austin.
yeah.
Right.
So, all right. That's it, guys. As I said, we faded to black, so that takes us to the most important question of all. At a premium price of $29.95, did you get your money's worth? Joe, I think you've already answered that, but why don't you tell us anyway?
Well, weren't we supposed to get a Sable versus Jackie match tonight? I thought we were.
No, we heard Sable talk about how she is training to fight Jackie, but I don't think they officially...
This is like 2 pay-per-views in a row with no Sable, by the way, which is surprising.
I think she is actually maybe training to be some type of wrestler.
Really surprising to me. I don't know why that stands out, but arguably you could say she's like the 3rd biggest star in the business right now behind The Rock and Austin, and she's not on the show.
As far as merch sales at this time goes, I think that's definitely the case, right?
Yeah. So that's a little disappointing to me, but I would say yes, I got my money's worth because I just love this Austin and Mr. McMahon feud. It's at its peak, I think. It's so great.
I think I'm going to actually land on your side, Joe, that I got my money's worth for not the reason at all of the final match, but because of the Mankind Ken Shamrock match, which I said I fucking loved, and I loved the Fink pointing out that it was the Mandible Claw, and D'Lo Brown versus X-Pac. I think those 2 matches put it over, and yeah, I got my money's worth.
Well, as we all know, I'm generally a miser when it comes to this.
Yeah.
So I said no, even though I only had 1 dud, which is a rare thing.
And even though you were coming over to my place to watch these for free.
Right. I think the only way that I could have justified this one, and this is not a stipulation that I would put on many of the ones that I say no to, but like if we had to pay for this, and if we had split this 3 ways, I would have said yes. This was definitely worth $10 to me. But if I'm shelling out the full 30, then no. I'm going to say no. Too much bullshit in it. And that main event, come on. Like, you basically...
That's what put it over for Joe.
Well, you saw the last of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's
Gone.
A big deal.
Fired.
Yeah, he's fired.
Never see him again.
Yep.
Goodbye, Rattlesnake. All right. So what did the Wrestling Observer have for us as far as numbers go, Joe?
Well, the readers of the Observer were pretty down on this event. They only gave 8.3% thumbs up.
Ooh.
And 49.1% thumbs down and 42.6% in the middle. So
that's a lot in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is fair. This is a mediocre pay-per-view.
Yeah.
A tweener. A mediocre tweener.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
If you will.
The best match was voted as D'Lo Brown versus X-Pac.
Nice.
The worst match was voted as Undertaker versus Kane, the main event.
Even worse than DOA and LOD?
Yes.
That's hard to believe.
By a long shot, too, by the way.
I think people maybe just forgot that match happened.
Yeah, they were just too appalled by this main event. Dave Meltzer's really hung up on the fact that we have 4-hour shows now if you're at the event because they filmed Sunday Night Heat before. So once again, his comments are, is 4 hours too long or was the main event just that bad? Probably a little bit of both. There were a lot of complaints stemming from the WWF's last pay-per-view outing from Ontario that between the 1-hour live Sunday Night Heat show and the nearly 3-hour pay-per-view event, it was just too long.
Well, just wait till modern days when you have to sit through like 5 days of WrestleMania.
Right. And that is funny hearing him say that here, knowing that.
I agree with him. That's one of my biggest problems with modern WWF.
Yeah.
These pay-per-views just, I'm sorry, I can't commit half a day to watching one of your pay-per-views.
Yeah, so he's just not a fan of this new format with Sunday Night Heat right before the pay-per-view show. So it'll be interesting to see if his thoughts change at all anytime soon, but he's pretty hung up on that right now, especially when you have shitty wrestling matches, especially as your main event.
Well, and not just that, but shitty wrestling matches on Heat. Look at the card that I ran down with you guys real quick. The fucking oddities, for God's sake.
My rectal area.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
jammed right
Val
up there.
Venus was gifted a gold cup, so that's exciting.
That's true.
You violated me!
And that's it from the Observer, so yeah, pretty indifferent to negative thoughts on this event.
I want to say that's the most indifference that we've had reported on any pay-per-view.
For a while, yeah.
There's a lot.
Let's not forget that we had 3 just absolute banger classic Raws leading into this, and we end on a wet fart after all that good buildup.
Yeah.
Well, and this is, 2 pay-per-views in a row where they did not declare a champion,
right.
too.
The last pay-per-view, I think, was the first no, I didn't get my money's worth in a very long time that I gave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the next pay-per-view is Survivor Series, right? So that's one of the big 4. So that should rebound from this, hopefully.
Some bigger main events.
Yeah. This time we'll see Kane get dicked over in favor of The Undertaker with no champion crowned. Instead of The Undertaker getting dicked over. Yeah, here's hoping. A little side note. Do you guys remember, do they still do the actual Survivor Series gimmick match in 98? When did they stop doing that?
They didn't stop doing that for a while.
Oh, okay. Well, dud. Not getting my money's worth on that one.
I don't remember if they still do that or not.
Did
there may
they
be
recently
some different
bring it
things
back?
mixed in.
I don't know.
They used to do the teams.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think they still. I think they still do that, but I think they mix in some singles too.
Okay.
I don't remember the '97 Survivor Series. I think they had a one-on-one match in '97 Survivor Series, if I remember correctly, and someone got screwed.
Well, he screwed himself.
Yeah, so they got away from it a little bit in '97, so I would assume that there's going to be some singles matches in this one too.
Well, here's hoping. From your lips to Vince McMahon's violated ears.
My rectal area.
Thank you for all of that. Illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW. Just add @gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, on every podcast subscription platform. And while you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most stupendous. I couldn't believe I'd never used that one before. Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on October 19th, 1998, with matches featuring Jeff Jarrett, LOD 2000, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.